Now, let's get into this with this Church of Scientology, Danny Masterson. Now, Danny Masterson, the Church of Scientology, the Supreme Court just won a bid to keep Danny Masterson's alleged victims' civil battle out of the public eye. Because you know that a lot of the cases, like the Bill Cosby, R.S.K., um, Harvey Weinstein, and among other cases, have been in the public eye, right? And so the Scientology shut down. They were trying to keep this public. And so the Church of Scientology, so the Supreme Court was able to keep the civil battle out of the public eye to protect the victims, right? So Danny Masterson's alleged victims just got a huge win. The U.S. Supreme Court has shut down the Church of Scientology's plea to keep a civil battle with 4 women who accused the actor of S.A. out of the public eye. Okay, now this was supposed to be a monumental decision that was made on Monday. Now the Scientology has filed a petition begging the Supreme Court to intervene in a California appellate court's decision that said a lawsuit against Masterson and the church would remain in Los Angeles Superior Court and not the church's private arbitration. Because you know the Church of Scientology has a arbitration. And if you had been I don't follow it regularly, but I know this, we read celebrities, like they said that certain celebrities like Will Smith and Jada and some of the other celebrities, Tom Cruise, I believe, and Katie, they were all, and other celebrities too. They talked about, what's her name? Tiffany Haddish was part of something with the Church of Scientology. One time I was downtown Los Angeles, because I kind of go there regularly, right? And I happened to go out of where I happened to go somewhere where I normally don't walk when I'm down there doing my little shopping and window shopping and just basically strolling and having a good time, right? And I walked up on a Church of Scientology and I stopped and I looked and I was like, oh, this is where it's at. This is where it all begins. Now, I don't think that's the only building, but that's like the main one downtown, I believe, Los Angeles. And I just stopped and I just kept looking because I had heard so much about this and with celebrities being a part of it that I had to get a look, and it just didn't look like I thought it would look. I'm just going to say that. But anyway, nevertheless, they have arbitration, and they want to keep this, private. They didn't want it to go public. But guess what? The 4 females and one of their husbands filed the suit in August of 2019, and it claiming the church has surveilled and harassed them after the women came forward to the Los Angeles Police Department with allegations of the word R, the big R, against the former, that 70s show actor. Remember, Danny Masterson played on that 70s show. If anyone kind of watched that show, I watched it every now and then. I would turn it on, but I'm not a big television watcher, but I would turn it on and I would see it, that 70s show. But anyway, they're saying that he, did some things that he should not have done. And so the women went to the LAPD, which they should have rightfully did that. They should have definitely went there. If you are doing some things, you ought to be exposed if you're violating people's rights. And it needs to be brought to law enforcement. And if the women are real victims, I would say genuine victims, because we've talked about this a lot on different channels. If you are a real victim, you should go to the authorities. You definitely need to go to the authorities. It does not stop you from filing a civil suit for damages against your perpetrator. But however, it is good to file a criminal complaint, because if this is the case, they can investigate it, and you as women can go and get your help that you need, have the kits done or whatever you need to have done, and get taken care of being real victims. Because there is no reason why a woman should not report things that happen if it really happened. And people can say, well, you don't know. I do know a lot about what I know, what I'm saying. And I still think, and I stand on that, because some woman tried to say something crazy to me in a under one article, and I told her, no, you have no idea, and I still stand on it. If something happens to you, you should report it to the authorities. And you should not wait on it and come out later after you've enjoyed perks and money, things like that, and you were getting things and benefits. No, if you are being in a situation, you need to report it. And don't say you've been held against your will when you are freely able to move around and use Uber and have Uber accounts and transportation. That makes it harder for people to believe women. I'm just going to tell the truth. It makes it harder for people to believe women when they're getting perks, they're getting benefits, they're accepting the money, they have Uber accounts, they're able to move around freely, go shopping, and then say they were held against their hostage. It makes it difficult. Honestly, it really does. Makes it difficult. So in this case, these women went to the LAPD, to bring out of their allegations against the 70s show actor. Now, we understand that it's supposed to be, presumption of innocent until proven guilty. And we've seen where people in the social media have, made people guilty by public opinion before they even went to court. So now everybody's mind is tainted when that happens. And then you have these wrongful convictions. You have judges and prosecutors basing information on documentaries and public opinion because they want to appease public opinion. They want to appease the people. And that's not right either, because our court is supposed to be fair and it's supposed to work right. So anyway, 4 of the 5 plaintiffs are ex-Scientologists, okay? They are ex-Scientologists. Now, the actor has been a longtime member of the religious organization. Religious. Now, there's a difference between religion and being religious and spiritual. So this is a religious organization. Now, Scientology has argued and warned that his accusers were former members of the church and had signed service contracts barring them from suing the church. So what they're trying to use, the Church of Scientology, is that they signed something while they were members, and so that they can't, do that. So did this happen when they were members? Would that be the argument, that it happened when they were members? But however, they're ex-Scientologists, is what it's saying. They're no longer members of that church. And they claim the matter should be taken to religious arbitration. This is what the Church of Scientology is doing. Now, I wonder, let's just throw this question out here. Are they fighting for it to go to religious arbitration because they can manipulate what they do and what happens within the Church of Scientology? No, to me, a crime is a crime. So in this case, there's no need to be going, religious arbitration. Okay, so let's just say that somebody did something inappropriate in the church. And I'm not talking about what we're talking, the big R and S.A. I'm talking about, say, something inappropriate where they had an affair and it was consensual. And should they be removed from the board or removed from their position? Yeah, I say that that's religious arbitration. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or if they took $50 that they wasn't supposed to take, okay, religious arbitration, get them removed, pay the money back. I'm just throwing out some lower level examples. But when you start talking about, and I know that adultery is not a lower level, but, it's something that probably could be handled in the church if someone was in a position and they stepped out on their spouse and they were found to be guilty of that, and they are in a position in the church. They do not need to serve in any position with those type of behaviors. Or if they were found drinking, drinking, doing drugs, okay, remove them from their position in the church if they serving on a board or something like that. But when you're talking about, when you're talking about violating somebody in a manner that they're claiming that this is what happened, these are the allegations. I'm not saying it did or didn't, but these are the allegations. No, it needs to be handled outside of the religious arbitration. But we also have to look at the signed service contracts. These service contracts, what does it say in the service contract? Is that part of the service contract? S.A. and R, is that part of the service contract? what is part of the service contract? We would have to see what the service contract is, right? And they're saying, nah, obviously the Supreme Court ruled and said, you know, in the appellate court, the California Appeals Court said, this is not part of religious arbitration. Okay, now I would like to see the contracts, but look, I guess obviously you have to know the law really well, but it went all the way up and they're saying, no, this is not something that should be handled under religious arbitration. Okay, so this is what they're saying here. So despite convincing the trial court, a California appeals court stepped in early this year and overturned the ruling. And that's what the appellate courts are supposed to do. Is that's their job. When there is a dispute and it's appealed, the appellate court is supposed to do their job, and they are higher than the level courts, you know, the trial courts. They are higher than the trial courts, the appeals court. So they are supposed to do their job, and they are supposed to look at each detail to see if something can be overturned. Did the lower courts follow all the laws, you know, and things like that? And did they get a fair trial? See, that's another thing that needs to happen with these appellate courts. Are people getting, you know, when defendants are on trial, are they getting a fair trial? Did they get a fair trial? And so when you don't get a fair trial, your attorneys have a right, when they feel something is wrong and they see that it's wrong, a right to file an appeal to the higher court, to the appellate court. And so when people get angry that, you know, people just don't want to believe this or believe that, no, people have a right to appeal their sentences, to appeal their convictions when things like things that don't go right in the lower trial, you know, the lower courts, the trial courts, and things don't go right. So it was overturned. So the appellate court focused on the disturbing accusations made by the plaintiffs against Scientology. They were disturbing accusations. That's what they focused on. And so obviously they didn't feel that that should be handled in the religious arbitration of the Church of Scientology. So the women and one of their husbands claimed that since they came forward with the allegations against Masterson, the church had allegedly stalked them, hacked their phones, and even killed their pets. You know, that's some really disturbing news to me too, to read this, you know, disturbing stuff that this has happened. These are allegations again, but you know, they say a lot of times celebrities are protected, but I would say select celebrities are protected, because if this is what's really going to be proven in the court of law under testimony, and we pray that nobody's getting immunity, we pray that people are going to tell the truth even under oath, because people do lie under oath when they're getting immunity and they say what the prosecutors want them to say. So we want to make sure that nobody's getting immunity. So hopefully nobody gets immunity and they testify and they actually raise their right hand and they really tell the truth about what's really going on both sides, okay? But anyway, as the appellate court pointed out, all of that allegedly happened after the accusers left Scientology, meaning it was not an issue that fell under the church's internal arbitration. So after California Supreme Court signed off on that decision, Scientology turned to the U.S. Supreme Court. So the Church of Scientology feels they have power because, you know, they have money. And a lot of celebrities do belong to the Church of Scientology. So they have money and people pay dues. Okay, so there's money. So they went all the way up to the Supreme Court and they filed a petition in July asking the court to step in and take on the case. Well, sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for, because last week the court looked at the petitions. This morning, the court decided it would not be taken on the church's case, as first reported by Tony Ortega. Now, I don't know who Tony Ortega is, but he must be some type of reporter or something. But anyway, they didn't take on the case. They said, nah, appellate court overturned it, and we're going to leave it just where it's at, you know, that part. So despite the win, the accuser's civil lawsuit against Masterson and the church will continue to be on hold as the actor's criminal trial is set to start in LA on October 11th. Masterson is accused of R-ing 3 out of the 4 women suing him. Okay? And so they still get to file the civil suit, right? But it's on hold because they filed a report, you know, criminal report with the Los Angeles Police Department. And so their civil case is on hold, but while he faces the criminal while he faces his criminal trial, right? Because they did file a civil suit against him. And I think that's important that, you know, if someone's violated you in any kind of way, you really should make sure to file a criminal report, you know. And he's facing, Mr. Masterson is facing, he could get 45 years to life in prison if convicted. Now, give me a moment here. Now, I always want to, you know, let people know that if you have been sexually assaulted or you know, something like that, we always want to make sure that, you know, there is a phone number available to any victim that has been, you know, violated in that type of manner to contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline. It's available 24 hours. The phone number is 1-800-656-4673. So 1-800-656-4673 for the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Because the thing about it is, and also, you know, it's also as 800-656-HOPE, HOPE, because there is hope for you if something like this happens to you. And this is a lot going on right now where women are claiming, you know, that this has happened to them. We see that, we hear it, we read about it. It's regularly, it's ongoing. And we don't want any real victim to feel like they don't have hope and to feel like they can't get the help that they need. So we encourage all real victims that have been in this situation or has happened to you to contact, you know, the National Sexual Assault Hotline. And, you know, and we encourage that because we know that there's real victims out here that have suffered, you know, and that have been through it and that are still suffering, you know, and it causes a lot of other trust issues, emotional issues, and PTSD and depression, anxiety, things like that. So we are praying that if, you know, that this is all sorted out in the court of law. And Mr. Masterson, if you have done these things, you need to face up to them. And, you know, and the victims, the real victims will get help if they, you know, this has happened. And this religious arbitration, well, this is bigger than obviously the religious arbitration. So they're saying no go. It went to the appellate court. And so anyway, you all leave your comments below. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. I appreciate your comments, your respectful comments, and I appreciate all my new subscribers. Don't forget to like the video, to share the video, and to subscribe to the channel. And this is something that, you know, we say a lot, and I know it is, and I just really started saying it quite a bit, trying to remember to say it, because I don't always remember to say it so that I can get my videos out there. Because there is a lot of good information. There is some bad news and good news and celebrations that I try to do on my channel and inspirational, you know, videos. But we also are dealing with, you know, what's going on in the world, and it's a lot going on that we have to be aware of, that we need to take caution on, and then also just some videos that we can do better with our temple of taking care of ourselves. So with that being said, don't forget, leave your comments below, and thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all.